back at it again, and we have one with Larry Elder debunking the myth about Donald Trump. Let's dive in.
13 seconds. Literally, the media counted how many seconds passed between the time a crowd at a rally in North Carolina began chanting, "Send her back, and the president stopped the chant. 13 seconds. My goodness, that's practically an eternity.
4 months.
You see, here's the deal. After calling Trump a Hitler, a Nazi, a fascist, a dictator, they actually believe he has the power that a Nazi, a racist, a fascist, and a dictator literally has over crowd control. Even worse,
So he just literally held up his hand and everybody got quiet. That's crowd control for you right there. My goodness.
The president sent out a series of tweets before North Carolina going after these 4 congresswomen, affectionately known as the Squad. In fact, his tweets got President Trump condemned by the House. They passed a motion to do so.
The resolution is adopted.
To give you an idea of how farcical this whole thing is, Emmanuel Cleaver
I want to see that
is
vote.
adopted.
On agreeing on the resolution, 235 yeah, 187 nay, 1 independent, 4 Republicans, 240 to 187.
To give you an idea of how farcical this whole thing is, Emmanuel Cleaver, one of those who voted for the motion, even said, "Why are we reacting like this to every time President Trump tweets?"
What are you going to do the next time the president tweets?
He's playing us like a Stradivarius.
Wait a second. What exactly did President Trump tweet that got him labeled once again racist? Let's look at them. So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done.
We touched on this in a previous video. I don't remember exactly which video, but that tweet came up before in a video that we checked out. And I don't see that as a terrible tweet. He said, basically, in short, what I took out of that is he said, okay, if America is so terrible, why are you complaining about here when the places that you guys are originally from is worse than what we have here? So how about you go back to where you're originally from, you fix that, and then come back and tell us how it's done. He didn't say, oh yeah, go back and stay, you're kicked out, yada, yada, yada. He said, go back and fix where you're from before you complain about America. Then, once you do that, once you fix it, then come back and tell us how it's done. Show us. Show me. What is wrong with that? Am I tweaking? Y'all let me know in the comments. I don't anyway.
These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. Oh my goodness. What a racist to tell, quote, people of color, close quote, say the media and the Dems, to go back to their original countries. After all, only Ilhan Omar is from another country, Somalia. The rest were born and raised here. How racist is that? Not to digress, but may I inform you of a tweet that was sent out by Rashida Tlaib in 2015, 4 years ago? Deport this blank hole. Charming. Again, 2015. Oh, and how about this tweet from Ilhan Omar in 2012? We are citizens and can't be deported. Why don't we deport you to wherever you came from? Again, that was 2012. And one more time, it was the media and the Dems who immediately informed us that the president directed his ire towards.
Wasn't there a recent, I think I saw a recent video of Omar getting booed by some of her own folks. So yeah, she's in a little bit of trouble there. But anyway, let's continue on.
People of color. I read you the tweets. President made no reference to color whatsoever. It was the Democrats and the media that decided that was relevant. Why? Because they want to brand the president as a racist. We've seen this movie before. Democrats, your race card is overdrawn. By the way, a new Rasmussen poll finds a full one-third of Democrats believe, quote, anytime a white politician criticizes a black politician, it is racism, end of quote. Wow. Does it work the other way around? Anytime a person of color.
1/3. But that also just shows how deranged people are. You know, if a white person criticizes a black person, it's got to be the R word. It's got to be. Who said anything about skin color? And I said this before. It's ironic that the people who scream the R word the most are actually the most racist. You ever sat back and thought about that? You know, watching these videos, I've come to realize, you know, that after watching all of this stuff, because they'll take something that said nothing about skin color, nothing about race or anything, and they'll turn it into a skin color thing, a skin color issue. Who said anything about that? I'm just saying, just an observation. Y'all can let me know if you've noticed the same thing as I have.
A politician of color criticizes a white politician. Is that racism? If so, I know somebody who would be on death row.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Goodness.
Yeah. If Donald Trump stood up and said that stuff, if Donald Trump literally said exactly what Maxine Waters just said, exactly, word for word, there would be millions of people just absolutely losing their minds. Just losing it. If he said it word for word, you could be black and be racist. You could be white. You could be Asian. You could be Latino. You could be tall, short, fat, skinny, gay, straight, don't matter. Anybody can be the R word. That is a fact. So this whole, she can say it, but if Donald Trump said it, it's the end of the world, that's totally BS. But we all know that would happen, especially in the mainstream media, which is just sad. And it's why the mainstream media's ratings are trash.
President Trump only asked him to leave the country. Maxine Waters wants him to leave anywhere. So I guess they have to leave the planet. Once again, because of Trump's tweets and because of the send her back chant in North Carolina, the Democrats are talking about a restoration of civility. Never mind the race card was pulled on Joe Biden by Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, and the race card was pulled on Nancy Pelosi by AOC. The Democrats want a return to civility. Let's go to the videotape, shall we? The stench of fascism is in the air. 1964, California Democrat Governor Pat Brown when Barry Goldwater accepted the Republican nomination. I am scared that if Ronald Reagan gets into office, we're going to see more of the Ku Klux Klan and a resurgence of the Nazi Party. 1980, Coretta Scott King. Ronald Reagan is trying to replace the Bill of Rights with fascist precepts lifted verbatim from Mein Kampf. 1983, William Clay Sr., Democrat from Missouri. I believe George H.W. Bush is a racist for many, many reasons. He's a mean-spirited man who has no care or concern about what happens to the African-American community. I truly believe that. 1992.
Pulling the race card once again. It's the same old trick and pony. Like, I don't, oh my goodness. Can you guys get some new things to say? If you disagree, you're a phobe or you're an ist. It's just like, ah, my goodness. This is just trash.
Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat from California. It's not S-word or N-word anymore. It's not S-word, a slur for Latinos, or N-word, you know what that is, anymore. Republicans say, let's cut taxes. 1994, Charlie Rango, Democrat, New York. The new Republican-controlled House is like the Duma and the Reichstag, referring to the legislature set up by Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and the parliament of the German Weimar Republic that brought Hitler to power. 1995, Representative John Dingell, Democrat, Michigan. The GOP is coming for our children. They're coming for the poor, the sick, the elderly, and the disabled. 1995, Representative John Lewis, Democrat, Georgia. The GOP has a white boy attitude, which means I must exclude, denigrate, and leave behind. They don't see it or think about it. It's a culture. 1999, Donna Brazile, Al Gore's presidential campaign manager. The Republicans bring out Colin Powell and J.C. Watts because they have no program, no policy. They have no love, no joy. They'd rather take pictures with black children than feed them. 2000, Donna Brazile, former DNC chair and former head of Al Gore's campaign. We are in danger. The extreme right wing has seized the government, so look out. The right-wing media, the FBI, they are targeting our leadership. 2001, Reverend Jesse Jackson. You mean Uncle Tom types? 2001, Gloria Allred on a radio show referring to Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. What?
You mean Uncle Tom types? It's still funny to me that people think that that's the right term to use. They can't even use the right name. Thank you for the compliment, Uncle Tom. Appreciate it.
What we are dealing with right now in this country is whether we are having a kind of bloodless silent coup. President George W. Bush is trying to bring himself all the power to become an emperor, to create Empire America. 2002, Representative Jim McDermott, Democrat, Washington. George W. Bush is our Bull Connor. 2005, Representative Rangel again, this time referring to the Birmingham, Alabama Democrat segregationist superintendent of public safety who sicked dogs and turned water hoses on civil rights workers. Every day, George W. Bush's administration unleashes squadrons of digital brown shirts to harass and hector any journalist who is critical of the president. 2005, Al Gore. Democrats versus Republicans is a struggle between good and evil, and we're the good. 2005, Governor Howard Dean, chair of the DNC. George W. Bush has improved on the techniques used by the Nazi and the communist propaganda machines. 2006, George Soros.
Oh, of course.
George W. Bush let people die on rooftops in New Orleans because they were poor and because they were black. 2006, then Senate candidate Claire McCaskill, Democrat from Missouri, who won her race. George W. Bush's administration engaged in ethnic cleansing by inaction. So by simply not doing anything to alleviate this, they let the hurricane do the ethnic cleansing and their hands are clean. End of quote. 2006, Representative Barney Frank, Democrat from Massachusetts, referring to George W. Bush's allegedly sluggish response to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. The Republican Party would have the American flag and the swastika flying side by side. 2006, Julian Bond, Chairman NAACP.
There's an overwhelming pattern with all of these statements, and it's still being done today. And people are still buying it. This is crazy.
The House of Representatives has been run like a plantation. And you know what I'm talking about. 2006, Hillary Clinton. The GOP is the white party. 2008, Howard Dean, again, DNC former chair. The animosity directed towards President Barack Obama is because of the belief among many white people, not just in the South, but all over, that African Americans are not qualified to lead this great country. End of quote. 2009, former President Jimmy Carter. Mitt Romney's gonna put y'all back in chains. 2012, Vice President Joe Biden to a predominantly black audience about Mitt Romney's refusal to push for further regulation on Wall Street. Gonna put y'all back in chains. Some Republicans believe that slavery isn't over, and they think they won the Civil War. 2014, Representative Charlie Rangel. So Democrats are pushing for a restoration of civility? When exactly did they practice it? Wow. George Herbert Walker Bush, racist? I thought that was at least one Bush, by the way.
Yeah, that story about that whole situation is pretty wild. Pretty wild. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to go through all of that, having your plane be hit, knowing you're going down, you're really close to enemy territory. Yeah, that whole salute to all of the men and women of our military. Greatly appreciate your service. My goodness.
We keep hearing over and over again how President Trump has coarsened race relations. He's made race relations worse. Did he? Take a look at this graph. 2007, whites' ratings of relations between whites and blacks as very good or somewhat good, 75%. But by 2015, it had declined to 45%. Now, who was president in 2007? George W. Bush, 75%. Who was president in 2015 when it declined to 45%? Not Donald Trump. Now let's look at blacks' perceptions. Blacks' ratings of relations between whites and blacks as very good or somewhat good, 2001, 70%, 2013, 66%, 2016, 49%. Now, just who was president when race relations from the perception of blacks peaked at 70%? George W. Bush. Who was president in 2013 when it was at 66%? Barack Obama. But who was president in 2016, 3 years later, when it declined to 49%? Barack Obama. Now, another thing you hear is that President Donald Trump has...
I ain't have to say it. Larry Elder said it. I didn't say it.
snatched the Republican Party, has done a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, has now made the Republican Party in his own image. Really? Check out this graph. Perceptions of president's political views. The percentage of Americans who think Donald Trump is too liberal, 17%. The percentage who thought George W. Bush too liberal, 18%. 1 point diff. The percentage who thinks Donald Trump's views are just right, 38%. The percentage of people who thought George W. Bush's views were about right, 36%. 2 point difference.
Bill Clinton was 43, about right. Too conservative, 39, 10, 39, 12. Wow. Bill Clinton sitting at 43 with the about right category.
The percentage of people who think that Donald Trump's views are too conservative, 39%. The percentage of people who thought George W. Bush's views were too conservative, 39%. The point is, for all the people saying Donald Trump is engaged in a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, look at how people perceive them ideologically, almost identical. Mm-hmm. Now, as to why I think race relations declined under Barack Obama, two reasons. I know why. When Obama was interviewed as a senator, he was not yet the front runner in 2008 by Steve Croft of 60 Minutes. Croft said, Senator Obama, if you don't get the nomination, will it be because of racism? And Obama gave what I thought was a spectacular answer. He said, no. If I don't get the nomination, it will be because I have failed to articulate a view that the American people can embrace. Fast forward, President Obama then says, racism is in our DNA. If I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. Oh, there's a place called Ferguson, which Obama referred to in an address to the United Nations. He embraced Black Lives Matter. His AG, Eric Holder, said when it comes to matters of race, America has been a nation of cowards, whatever that means. Eric Holder even said the push for voter ID, which a majority of blacks even support, was an example of pernicious racism. So I think a lot of people thought the Obama they were going to...
Yeah, we checked out a Ami Horowitz video, I believe that was, where Ami was just walking around the streets asking black folks about the voter ID issue or situation and really debunk the whole thing. You know, asking black folks, hey, do you have an ID? Of course. Do you know any black person that doesn't have an ID? No, everybody has an ID. You need an ID for several different things. Do you know if you didn't have an ID, do you know where to get one? Yeah, of course. It's right over, and they would like literally tell them, you know, where they needed to go to get an ID. So you have no problems going to get an ID if you didn't have one, right? Of course, I know exactly. But when the voter ID issue always comes up, people throw race into it, and it has nothing to do with race. Zero. If anything, you're just calling black people stupid and incompetent. That's the only thing that I see. Because if you need an ID to drive, why shouldn't you need an ID to vote? You need an ID to buy alcohol. When you walk into the liquor store, can I see an ID? When you get pulled over, when you're driving, what do you need? You need an ID, but nobody calls that the R word though. Nobody has an issue with that, but they have I don't understand. That's just crazy to me. And I genuinely have tried to understand that, and there is no understanding that makes no sense whatsoever. You need an ID for that, but if you need it over here, it's the R word. Anyway.
They get was the Obama on 60 Minutes. Instead, they got the Obama who invited Al Sharpton to the White House over 70 some odd times.
Wow.
The second reason I think Obama's popularity declined, at least among blacks, is because of the perception that if only a person were in the White House who was black, who understood my issues, my life would be so much better off. Think I'm being demeaning when I say a lot of blacks assume that a black person in the White House would make a massive difference in their lives? Remember Peggy Joseph?
It was the most memorable time of my life. It was a touching moment because I never thought this day would ever happen. I won't have to worry about putting gas in my car. I won't have to worry about paying my mortgage. You know, if I help him, he'll help me.
I interviewed a woman named Liz Croykin, and she said, I covered Trump for 10 years when he was in New York. I'm an entertainment reporter, she said. It is my job to find dirt on people. I never heard he was a racist. I never heard he was a fascist. I never heard he was a homophobe until he ran for president. In fact, she said, blacks used to embrace Donald Trump.
Oh yeah. You can go listen to some rap songs right now. It's all types of rap songs mentioning Donald Trump. I'm the black Donald Trump, you know? Like, come on. All up until he ran for president. And of course, you see this picture here on the screen. But of course, he's the terrible orange man. No good, very bad, terrible orange man. It's crazy how that works. How the machine just instantly flips on you. And
Oh, that was so then. Now, despite all of the trashing, Pew Research estimates that ABC, NBC, CBS gave President Trump 91% negative coverage. My goodness. And still, his poll numbers are as high as they've ever been in his presidency. That must be frustrating for a lot of people. I know one gentleman, person of color, who's probably pretty happy about it.
Give my remarks to all of the Trump haters, all of the Hillary Clinton supporters, all of the people that said that my Trump was gonna lose. So I say to you this morning, the day after the election,
Are we having fun yet?
oh man, that guy was out of hand. John Bucci, I think it said his name was. But anyway, it's crazy how the same tactics have been used for so long, and people still buy it. They still buy it. You have people like Sonny hosting of The View, which really isn't The View. It's one opinion, and everybody just repeats it. It should just be called The Echo Chamber. That's what that show really should be called. Not The View, where you get a wide range of views. No, you get one view on that show. But anyway, said that if you are a person of color and you're a Republican, you are an oxymoron. I think if you're a person of color and you only vote Democrat, you're an idiot. We checked out a video with Malcolm X. I'm sure some of you remember that video that we checked out of Malcolm X. He said if you are black and you vote Democrat, you are a traitor to your race. You are a traitor. He said that. I didn't say that. He said that. You're a traitor. I say if you're a person of color and you only vote Democrat, that's the only thing you will ever do, you're an idiot. Because that ensures that nothing will ever be done for you. If a party already knows that they have your vote, if they know that no matter what, you are going to vote for them because you don't trust or see the other party as anything good, you see them as the big bad boogeyman, then where is the incentive for the other party to do anything for you? There isn't one. Oh, we can just do whatever we want to. We can cry, scream, yell out in the streets and not get any legislation put forth. We can get them riled up and angry every single year close to election time and still not doing anything when we get back in office. They're going to vote for us again anyway. We just got to put a good face up front. This is just what I have seen. I've just watched it. If you want to vote Democrat, cool, but at least you should consider voting for a Republican. Your vote should have to be earned. It shouldn't just be given. This is the way that I see it. Like I said, because you open the door to being taken advantage of, right? Do y'all agree? Let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm wrong. But this is just from observation. And I feel like that's a logical observation. If one party knows they're going to get your vote, then they have no incentive to do anything for you, so they can easily take advantage of you. I feel like that's common sense. But what do I know? I haven't been, into politics for very, very long. I'm still learning. Like I said, this is just all from what I've seen. And if you guys feel that I am wrong, please let me know in the comment section below. But thank you guys for tuning in once again. Thank you guys so much for all of the continued love and support. Please make sure you guys hit that like button. All right. YouTube is actively suppressing these videos. And once again, I have my suspicions as to why that is. But hit that like button. We're going to fight back. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. And if you would like to help the channel out even more, hit that arrow button down below to share these videos. You can copy the link and paste it anywhere you like. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, wherever. All right. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. Peace and love. I'm out.